Hey, I think we're ready. Everybody sounds good. Everybody looks good. Let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, episode 26 of the Columbus DJ podcast. We're about to be the Ohio DJ podcast. We're just not even going to ask permission. We're just going to take over the whole state. But I'm here with two of my good friends from Cincinnati, DJ KOMBAT and FUSEAMANia. So big shout out to them for joining us.
Thank you guys for joining us.
These are two of my favorite DJs in the state. I mean, I'm on record as saying that KOMBAT is my number one DJ who I'd like to go back to back with at some point. I think we were trying to plan something and then COVID hit, man. So we still got to do that eventually.
Very skilled, very skilled.
And Corrupt's here too. What's up, James? How you doing, buddy?
Oh, come on, bro.
We've already been talking for like 20 minutes, so.
I'm good, man. I just got a workout in. A little tired, but I'm here.
That's what's up. I noticed you changed your tag to hashtag vote. Did you watch the vice presidential debate last night, or did you want to keep your sanity?
I was at a work thing at Fireproof, thank God, because I watched the first one, and I want my life. I want those minutes back of my life.
Yeah, man. It was as bad as I expected, and I was expecting literally the worst.
You know what's funny though is like it's all perspective the way you watch it, depending on who you're kind of rooting for. Because I had two different people at the gym today tell me, "Oh, Harris killed it," and then, "Oh, Biden killed it," or Pence. Mm-hmm. So it's like, what? Okay. And then social media is like Flygate. I'm like, oh my God, yeah. This is my country. I'm embarrassed. Like,
oh man. Yeah. Luckily, we're not going to be talking about politics for too long here. I want to get right into introductions because we got a ton to talk about, tons of years of experience, and these guys are from a different part of the state, so hopefully I have a good perspective. And Fuse, I'd like to start with you, man. If you could just introduce yourself and tell us maybe how you became a DJ and your story.
Oh, all right. I'm Dave. That's what my mom named me, David. I am from Cincinnati, Ohio. I've been basically here my entire life. I started DJing in high school. A friend of mine wanted to become a rapper, and I was like, well, if you're going to be a rapper, you're going to need a DJ. And that's how I got into it. I was always into music and stuff. But I started like DJing like parties in high school. And then like basically once everybody graduated and, you know, friends were going into like fraternities and sororities, I would do those parties. And then, you know, they would have formals or socials at the bars. And the next thing you know, I'd get invited back by a bar to do like a college night. And, you know, everything kind of snowballed. So that's kind of how I got into DJing and just, you know, met some great people along the way that kind of helped me out, you know. A lot of local guys. I met Richie when he was tearing it up on Scratch YouTube videos. He's got. If you search, you might be able to find what I'm talking about.
Oh shit!
But yeah, so I don't know. Is there something more than that you want to know?
You can tell us whatever you want, man. You mentioned that you had some people help you out when you were coming up in Cincy. I mean, we may or may not know some of these guys, but I want to know like who your influences were in the city, and then like more broad.
Yeah, definitely. Tony, Ice Cold Tony. You know, he makes all those custom turntables and custom like LED kits and stuff for turntables now. He helped me out a lot along the way, and DJ Identity and him and J. Crew from Model Citizen Sound helped me out a lot when I was a lot younger. And then, you know, I think a lot of it was, you know, getting gigs at Pavilion at a time where like DJing was kind of open format DJing was like at its peak. You know, I was opening for a lot of the like Dexstar guys that were coming through at the time. So, and that's how I got to meet Kevin Scott and then start kind of working for DMS as well. It was basically because I met him through, you know, opening for him at Pavilion. And then, you know, using DMS, I was starting to submit at that time, like my own edits with Simo, and now Simo is the editor for DMS too. He does a lot of the bulk workload for DMS right now, and then he does his own thing with the Playback Prodigy too. But that's a whole other topic. But yeah, so that was great getting to meet guys like Kevin and Scene and Spider, and all those guys come through Columbus as well.
Absolutely, man. And then I wanted to know, you said when we were talking earlier that you had like 4 to 5 gigs a week. Where were you spinning kind of before all this? And then what was like a really memorable performance for you?
So before all this, I was playing every Monday night at DJ Saab's newer bar, Fishbowl, and it was like an industry night, and I was DJing videos there. And on Thursdays, I was playing at Stretch on the Banks, and Fridays I'd be at the Stretch or at Igby's, and then Saturdays I would be at Righteous Room, Igby's, Tokyo Kitty, and then so that was like I was doing at least 4, and then I like when we're doing the battles, there would be Wednesday nights there at Tin Roof, and always something popping up here or there. I feel like, so I mean, it was 4 or 5 nights a week every week, but yeah.
Dope.
And then now, I'm lucky if I'm playing 1 night a week now.
So you started so early in high school. That's amazing. I'm jealous. Whatever happened to that rapper?
He was actually a best friend of mine. He passed away when I was 21.
Man, I'm sorry.
It's thanks, but yeah, he was my best friend, and it was a kind of a tragic freak accident, and that's kind of how like I adapted my DJ name. Like I used to play paintball all the time, and the team name was Fuse, so that's how the Fuse came about. And then when we played paintball, my friend Michael, who passed away, always wore a Hulkamania headband, and the idea in paintball is to not get shot, and the Hulkamania slogan is Hulkamania will live forever. So when he passed away, I adapted the Fusemania. That's kind of how that came about. I was going to say
it's kind of cool that you can look back and think about your career and think of him now.
Yeah,
just the way it all started.
Yeah, and that's like all like an ode to him. And like that was like, anytime I was DJing earlier on, he was like always there at the parties and like hanging out and stuff. So I felt like that was a way to like always keep that, a thing.
That's really cool.
Thanks.
It is, man. So sorry about that.
Oh, it's all good. Anything negative, you got to take a positive spin and move forward with that. And, nobody wants anybody to move along, feeling sad or sorry because something happened to them. I wouldn't want that, for me. I would want people to move along with their lives and be happy and do whatever it is that makes them happy.
For sure, man. And then are you still on Tech 12s when you perform, or have you moved on to whatever's in the club? Or
yeah, I mean, I'm like whatever. Like if they got turntables there, great. That's like the number one preference. But like if there's CDJs there, sweet. I'll use that too. Like the least amount of work I have to do is what I'm about.
Damn. Like, and then sorry, go ahead.
No, whatever. So whatever. Like I bought one of those controllers, the SRT 1000s too. So like if I have to do a gig where I like need to bring anything, I've been just taking that because it's so simple. And I haven't got my hands on those CDJ 3000s yet, but I'm hearing really good things about those platters on them too. Like even better than the Nexus 2. So,
ooh, I haven't heard anything about the platters. I have to check that out.
Yeah, one of the guys on DMS, his name is Pre-Yon Joni, and we feature all of his videos on the YouTube. He just did like this tutorial video of the new 3000s and like how like basically he can like drum and juggle like way better, and like he kind of shows it, and so it's pretty neat to see like the responsiveness of those new platters. So if a club had those, I would definitely use them. I mean, like in a club setting, I feel like that's the only part that I miss is like because the scratching and stuff. So if a club like I think you know, in like a big club, using CDJs at this point is better. Like it's, you know,
Sure.
you don't have to worry about somebody knocking the tone arm off, some dumb girl, you know, bumping into you in the DJ booth or something like that. So
I feel like they'll become the standard eventually, sometime next year, maybe in clubs.
yeah, I was like, man, they rolled them out at a time where DJs aren't DJs.
I know.
I think these were ready in like March or May.
I
like,
agree.
Time, and then they just were like, well, it's not getting any better. Here you go.
They waited as long as they could. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, have you guys checked out Phase yet? Or is anyone using Phase in the club right now?
Yeah, Richie's been using them. I have a set. I haven't, like, I messed with them when they first came out, but I know Richie has been like using them at every gig.
Serge was telling me last night. He was telling me last night he's ready to make the switch. He was having needle problems at BBR over the weekend with a packed crowd.
Oh,
he's
man,
like, I'm done with all this.
That's a nightmare at BBR. I've had issues there so many times on needles.
Let's hop over to Combat since he's already talking.
Give us the intro.
What up? My name's Richie. My mom named me. Actually, my brother named me Richie. I was named after Richie Valens. He sings La Bamba. And I started DJing back in 2007. Me and my brother, we would always like, my brother's DJE, by the way. Shout out to him.
Big shouts to DJE.
We would always just like have house parties because we're from LA and stuff, or we would go to a house party. We would always like chase the lights and stand by the speakers, and we're always intrigued. And then one day we were just like, you know what, let's just do this. So we ordered a board. It was a Newmark Mix Pro, I want to say. Tiny little wheels. It got mailed to us. All I had was like a USB out. We're like, this ain't it. Like, this isn't how you DJ. So we went to Guitar Center, and we knew a mutual friend there. And my brother had a good limit on his credit card, and we bought all the equipment. And we would sit in my parents' basement just not knowing how to DJ. And we would play one song, turn off the turntable, slowly mix to the next song. And I thought it used to sound cool. I listen to it now, and my sister was like walking up the stairs. She was like, that sounds terrible. It just sounds like the song just died. So kind of how we started. Didn't really have any pointers. Then we met people like, we used to go see Scott Sosnowski, DJ View, another big mentor, if not one of the biggest. Him and Mike B from the Animal Crackers. We used to go watch them DJ at some of the places downtown. We're like, man, we want to DJ like these guys. And then that's when we met like people like Kyle Hayes. Shout out to Columbus Hayes. Scott used to open for Hayes at a club called Exchange. And we just used to love it down there. We used to meet Clockwork, and we always wondered, like, how do we DJ like this? And then we used to watch Scott on Tuesday nights at Zazu. We met L Train. Shout out to L Train. God, there's going to be so many DJs mentioned.
Yep.
It's kind of how we started. And then, I don't know, kind of dove deep into it, just let it overconsume you. And I ended up living with Mike B for like 2 years, and I remember me and D-Lo, who are actually going to do a back-to-back set this Sunday for like house music. He's in town. I remember me and him sat in Mike B's basement for like 24 hours straight one day. I mean, it was dark outside when we started in the basement, and then we like stepped out of the basement and it was still dark, but that's because it was 12 hours later or 24 hours later. And we're just trying to practice beat juggling, strobing, and shit like that. So, I don't know, it's kind of how it came up. Started competing, little competitions here and there, and that's about it.
Is there, did you ever win one of the battles that you participated in, Combat?
2011, the Cincinnati DJ battles. That was like one of the first ones. Jake the Ripper was a host of that. Competed with, Will Fuse was in that. My brother was in that. Schroeder, who he runs a big part of 4EG now, he was in that. April Rain, shout out to DJs, she competed in that. But yeah, that's the one I won, and then that's kind of like I started getting booked a bunch of places after that. That was kind of cool. Picked up some residencies.
Combat, you're one of the only DJs that I've heard that I like want to hear more scratching in a club set where, you know, it's almost like every time you do it, it sounds smooth and it's not too much. Whereas sometimes I think a lot of DJs scratch too much in a club set just because of the way they're presenting it. How do you feel about scratching in club sets? What do you think is like the right amount?
It all depends on, I think, what platform you're in. So if you're kind of like, when I play at Tin Roof a lot, you're on a stage platform. So you have to be more of a performer and less of a DJ. Whether that means just dropping any song at any time to get a wow effect. As far as scratching goes, Sergio was a big mentor of mine when I was playing up in Columbus. He would always tell me less is more. I learned a lot from him as far as music programming goes, and you know, where to scratch in and out and overdoing it. I used to overdo it like crazy, and I wasn't as proficient as I am now. I'm always still learning. Yeah, but some DJs can get carried away with scratching, man, and it all depends on if you're doing a wordplay, what part of the song, you know, acapella intros. You know, Fuse knows this because he probably does so many edits of this. Scratching in with an acapella intro is crucial. Scratching out with an acapella outro is crucial. You know, you got the beat. Wordplay is crucial and everything like that. But yeah, you don't want to overdo it. You know, if you start your first hour of a set and all you do is scratch the whole time, it leaves the rest of the 3 hours very predictable and boring. So yeah, you sometimes keeping it simple is very easy. When I used to DJ for Peerless, they told me I wasn't allowed to scratch, and I was like, what? But look back on it now, I was like, man, I learned so much on how to kind of control where you can and where you can't and stuff like that. So it was a big learning lesson, and a lot of it is swallowing pride and ego and just being like, you know what? Sometimes you just shouldn't, and that's it. So
yeah, I think like scratching acapellas and doing wordplay transitions too is really okay. Like sometimes like the scratch files, the small little samples, you know, we all made like our own little like file where we would go to and like do a little thing, and that's where a lot of people might not understand.
Where it makes it easier, and that's a lot of the legwork is the prep, the what you do before your club sets, what you do, like, you know, a lot of the work goes on at home. A lot of DJs don't do work at home. They just, here's my music, this is what I'm going to play in the club, and that's it.
I think every turntables goes through that, where they're scratching too much in their shows because they spend so much time at home. They're practicing, they're doing their thing. They get excited because like, all right, cool, I got, you know, my baby scratch down. I can do it in a club. And then you do it. And then as you get really good at doing it in live, because those first few times you do it live in a club are probably not going to be great. But as you get used to doing it live, then you get to start to look up afterwards because you nail it a couple times. You look up and you go, I did it. Everyone's going to go, wow. And you look up and people are just like, they don't care at all. So then I really think that everyone goes through that phase where they're doing it in clubs and they finally get it like consistently. They look up and they're like, oh, they don't get it. And then eventually you kind of fall into like, all right, you know, I'm going to do my one little thing per hour, let people know that I do this shit. And then you move on.
Yep.
How about you, Fuse? I haven't seen you play, obviously. Are you a big scratcher? Are you more just about the presentation or both?
Like, I mean, I'll scratch here and there, but like for me, it's more about like I'm pretty like quick mix everything, like especially like new hip hop. It's like I try to only play like, you know, a chorus, sometimes just the chorus of like older hip hop, like stuff that I feel like still goes, but like, you know, if you let it like drag on more than just like that first hype chorus, it like loses it. So like I'm pretty like focused on like just keeping that energy like a 10 in the room if I can, you know, even if it's like half filled. I feel like that goes so much more for me, at least. Like that's what works, and that's what I try to do. And like, you know, pretty much programming the night so it's like pretty smooth, like too, where, you know, you don't really notice, you know, any mishaps in the music or like you know when you hear like the songs run into each other, like that kind of stuff. I don't like. Right. Like I hate that personally, so I try to be as clean as possible.
That's one thing J. Crew, shout out to J. Crew as well, that he taught us. So he was always like, never sacrifice a mix for a scratch. And that's true to this day. That's so true to this day. Like, it's not worth it. But
I think about, like, you know, Discotheque with Moz and Conflict. Like, they went on that tour a couple years ago together. Both great DJs, completely different styles. One scratches a lot, and Moz just presents his set. And we talked about it like the last few episodes. There's no wrong style of DJing. It's just, you know, you can have there is bad DJing, but there's no wrong like style, right? Is that what we're talking about?
I think that's like important and something that you don't really learn as a DJ too until like later on in your career. Like, oh, well, like just because this person does it a little differently than me doesn't necessarily mean that like they're bad. Like I've heard like people play and I'm like, oh, that's not how I do it, but like the room's going, you know, like
right.
So like, but like, and speaking of Joe, like I heard that guy play at Muay Thai in Miami Beach, maybe like 2011 or 2012, like just when he just moved down to Miami, and that to like this day is like one of the best club sets I've ever heard. I mean, he was doing like no scratching at all, but like tons of cool little like wordplay tricks and just like mixing, you know, and like even stuff that was like, you know, you're like, oh, well, I know he didn't do that live, but like that was his edit that he wasn't giving out to anybody. And I think that's cool too. So
I know some of my friends had during quarantine have unfollowed Joe Maz.
Oh yeah.
And you know, for whatever reasons, I think he even would know why. But man, I can't bring myself to do it. Like he is a fantastic DJ. Like and even maybe even a better remixer. So I can't bring myself to do it. I think he's earned, like, he can say whatever he wants. He's like earned my follow, my attention. Just because of what he's done musically. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but I have to say that about Joe Maz.
We just booked him at Dahlia this month.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
So first open format DJ that we are trying to get back in the rotation. And yeah, he's going to take a lot of criticism for his tweets, but like you said, as a DJ perspective, you know, you gotta separate the two.
And he might tweet. Go ahead.
What did he tweet?
Oh, it's just been a collection of stuff.
He's like far, like not even to get in it, but he's just like far one-sided, and like that's cool. Like some of the stuff I can't say that I don't like disagree with, but like he's like hammering away.
He's off the deep end.
he's backing the industry. He doesn't believe COVID is as serious as we're making it out as far as the panic and the masks. He's definitely the anti-mask thing, and that's okay. Like, you know, a lot of people are. And it's just not the normal. So a lot of people aren't comfortable with that. Like, you know, if you're not going to wear a mask, I'm going to unfollow you. That's kind of the world we live in right now.
Well, what's crazy is like I saw him post like a DJ down in Miami too, like not to get super deep into this, but like somebody who was like, oh my God, it's real. This is real. You're crazy. And then like the day the mask mandate in Florida went off, that same dude was like DJing to a packed club. And I'm like, bro, like just because they say it's okay to do it now that it's like all fine, like that's crazy too. Like that is crazy. Like to be like, well, in Florida, they say I don't need to do this, but I know it's real. And I've been a huge advocate of, you know, calling him crazy because he, you know, like, I'm like, that's hypocrisy at its finest.
And we have to be careful. Like Dave Chappelle says, like you have to be really careful when you call someone crazy, because like people are calling him crazy too. And I think now that whole thing is past, no one would call Dave Chappelle crazy. Like you might not understand an MFer, but like it's very dismissive to call people crazy. That's why he's the first person over by Kanye's side when, you know, he was having his breakdown. So I don't think that Joe Maz is crazy, but like
I don't think so either.
All I'll say is that I don't agree with a lot of his tweets, and I'm glad that he's back to DJ. I think he's got a gig this weekend, so props to Joe Maz.
I just think too, like personally, like, and this goes from like, you know, me to like LeBron to like anybody. Like, I just feel like I almost just think that, you know, like you should just keep your political opinions to yourself. Like for me, like if you're any kind of like entertainer, and sure you could argue like, well, use your platform, but like for me, like following people, I'm like, I follow you because I want to like watch you in that realm. And like, I like, yeah, I like try to use my entertainment and like stuff like as an escape. So like now I'm force fed all of this stuff through people I like to follow too. And like, but again, like I agree with Corrupt, like you just have to really be able to like separate the things you like about it. And like, you know,
We've talked about this on previous episodes about what you should and shouldn't put on your brand and your social media, because end of the day, especially with the world we live in right now, it's real sensitive. Like if you post something, an opinion that isn't going to be liked by 50% of the people, you might lose some fans that have nothing to do with DJing or producing because you just posted that you support this person or that you are criticizing this. So why do that to yourself? Even if you feel that way, learn to keep that to yourself. You know, even if you feel strong about it, like you said, using your platform in a positive way, there's ways to go about that too without like creating conflict.
Yeah, they're closing unnecessary doors.
Yeah,
I agree.
I want to switch gears a little bit. You guys know I want to talk to you about the battles. It's my favorite thing about what you guys do. Every time I ask someone on this podcast about DJ battles, they say it's too stressful, it's too hard, you shouldn't do it. And I know I finally found two people who will back me up. So I want to know, guys, what was your favorite part and least favorite part about hosting the battle? And then do you think that DJ should participate in competitions? And I want to start with Kombat.
So when people say it's too difficult, it's too stressful, then why do you do anything in life? If everything's easy, just stick to the easy route. You know, I think stressful, uncomfortable, and difficult situations make people grow. And I think necessarily a lot of DJs think, well, if I'm not going to win this, why would I compete? Well, the networking that's involved, the growth that happens standing in front of a room, not just of strangers, it's all DJs. And you know every single little mistake. You're going to be like, all right, what? But it's the exposure. It humbles you. It makes you, I think, more of a modest person. It definitely brings you down to earth. I've competed in DJ battles that I was a crybaby about, and I learned a lot from it. It's like, it is what it is, you know. Sometimes you learn more from your failures than you do your success, and that's the way it should be. But as far as the battles goes, man, I encourage everybody to get into them. I think one of the biggest frustrations that me and Fuse have with the battles is people who back out last minute, because then we have to scramble to, one, entertain that night, and space it out to where we don't end the battle too early, because as soon as battles are over, the crowd kind of leaves unless we have a headliner. So there's a certain way that me and Fuse structure the battles to make it entertaining for everybody. There's a lot of questions that people ask that everything that we do at the battle nights is for a reason, even down to getting hammered. No, I'm kidding. But everything we do is for a reason at those battles. I mean, we try to make it as entertaining as possible, and we're trying to make it continue to grow. So,
Kombat, one of the things about, I've never done a battle, and the reason is I always thought it was just basically who can scratch the best. Is that a wrong perception?
Yeah. If you want to scratch the best, leave it to DMCs. You know, I respect the DMC circuit. I respect the turntablist circuits. I respect the people who compete in them. I respect the Red Bull circuit. Me and Fuse are starting to cater these battles towards more of what would you play in a club, and make it to where a DMC guy, I have seen DMC guys tank at a club. It sucks to see it, but I've seen some of the best. I've seen a world champion, we're not going to say names, tank in a club set. And it's because they don't know the club circuit. We want, like, what do you see more, DMC DJ or do you see club DJs more? We're trying to appeal more towards the club DJ types of things. where somebody can walk up there with a controller and destroy a dude on turntables. Because they have more energy, they're more entertaining. Essentially, that's what it comes down to: is are you entertaining? So
I think you'd call it like a party rocking battle, right? Combat.
Yeah.
And I like that as well. What do you think, Fuse?
Yeah, I mean, Richie said it all, and I think that like we have had plenty of nights where a guy with less quote unquote like skills has put out somebody that it's very technically skilled, and like.
Sorry.
Yeah. Then like that's kind of what we say too. Like, sorry, dude. Like you kind of knew that this wasn't like that's what we tell everybody too when they sign up. We're like, this is not a scratch battle. So like, if you come here trying to do it,
technicality is our lowest point.
Right.
Yeah.
Points.
So like we try to encourage, people to do it. And, I feel like every time, when people are frustrated, like they're like, oh man, I don't know what I'm going to do. They always like come out of it. They always say the same thing. They're like, I'm actually glad I did it because like I came up with some new routines that I use like during my sets in the club or like, for like Richie and I, like a lot of it too is like he said, is like structuring the night. And for us, I think with keeping these battles successful, like a big part of it is just balance. Like a lot of the people that come to them want to come because it's like slightly popping, like, whereas like I shouldn't downplay it and say slightly, like every time we do the battles, like we have a great crowd and like
it's a party.
Yeah. Like 50% of the people that are there just to party. And then like, the other 50% are like DJs and the fans of the DJs that, that are competing in that night. So like a lot of anymore, like the last couple of years, like the way we've kind of just been doing it too is like Richie MCs and like keeps the flow of the night going. And like, as soon as somebody's not battling, I'm playing. Like, and the reason that we feel that works the best too is because like we know how the night's supposed to go. And like, like at a certain time I need to like up the energy still like in the room, even though we might have like guys competing, like at the end of the day, we're at a bar and like the bar is there to make business. So like, I still try to, you could probably say like from the ones that you've been there, like I'll play music, but I'm not up there like playing the hypest shit that's possible. And like the other cool thing I think is like, I'm like off to the side of the stage and not even like in like the limelight. So like as soon as the next DJ goes on, Richie talks for 30 seconds to a minute, kills the energy in the room. Like if like, not like he's bad, but just in terms of like, like bringing the mood back down. And then as soon as the DJ starts on stage again, like people are like, oh, there's something going on. Look over here. Like they kind of get it too.
Curtain call.
Yeah. And like, I think that's important. Like, I think that showcasing every DJ and, making them feel important is just as important to like the overall flow of the night, and again, like with everything that we're doing, like everybody is trying to make money off the deal. Like we're not going to sit here and say that like we're not either, but like we're trying to do good by the DJs. Like, like every DJ that comes and competes, drinks for free that night. Every DJ that comes and competes, like gets cool photos from that night. Like, and like, I think you guys would agree that sometimes that kind of stuff is just as important too. Like looking cool on the gram is like just as important as like, winning the battle. So like if Joe Blow from, 2 hours east of Cincinnati is, coming to DJ and he gets some cool pictures at a bar that he would never have gotten to play at, that's almost just as beneficial to him as like, other people. And like, I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just saying like, we're trying to, if you come and you compete, like you get something out of it, you know, it's just as much of what you put in, versus, anything else. And it's frustrating. I mean, those days are long days. Richie and I get there, 2 hours before sometimes. And some of those, like the finals nights that we do, and they're like, we're going through a lot of DJs, and then we got a headliner DJ, and we've had to pull a headliner or two off at these too, and that's not fun.
No.
Let me tell you about this.
That's not fun.
Go ahead, Combat.
We brought in DJ Qbert. I think everybody knows Qbert.
Damn, I can't believe I can't believe you the name drop him.
No, he didn't bomb his set. He's Qbert, man.
Yeah.
Listen, Qbert, we had a line all the way to the bathroom with DJ gear of different people that wanted his stuff signed,
including me.
Yeah. That alone made it like epic. I was like, I've never seen something like this. When Qbert came in, he came in around 3 or 4 p.m. and he was up there like doing a sound check and everything like that. I think we went through like 3 different turntables because he would touch it. He's like, nope, I don't want this one. Nope, I don't want. I was like, all right.
I just imagine him like waving his hand over the turntable like a Jedi, like this isn't it.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. Real quick, is this live? Are we live? Can people watch it somewhere right now?
Absolutely, yeah. You can go to Facebook, the Columbus DJ Podcast, or you can go to twitch.tv/DJAXCESSMusic.
All right. Cool. Somebody just text me. Sorry to interrupt.
All good. Combat, keep going.
So, yeah, he shows up. It was like 3 or 4 p.m. and he starts, Brian Benton, DJ Guinness, shout out to him. He's like the DJ Jesus of Cincinnati. Nicest dude ever. But he provided his 2 1210 M5Gs, which we know are like the best turntables ever made. And Qbert was like, nope, this one's not good. And looked like Brian was about to cry when he found out. But he warmed up, dude. He practiced for a solid, I don't even know, 3 or 4 hours.
The crazy thing is that guy's nuts. He moved the platter, and he was like, that's broken. And we were like,
I was like, what? So he started like practicing, and he practiced by himself for like 3 hours, dude. I was like, what is going on right now? So I go up there and I'm like, is everything good? And this and that. And he's like, yeah. He's like, you cut? And I'm like, no, not really. Like, I'm not about to scratch in front of you, dude. Like,
you did though.
Same thing. Yeah, I did. And he was kind of like, oh, that's dope. And then I was like, yeah, I'm done. But he DJ'd that night, and it was awesome. I mean, dude, he killed it. We had cameras on him, on his hands and everything like that. And then it just got to the point to where it was like a full-blown scratch session. And I was just like, the owner of the venue was like, we need to get him off. And I looked at Fuse. I'm like, I'm not telling him. And Fuse looks at me. He's like, I'm not telling him. So we both look at Davey C. Shout out to him. We're like, oh, this is your residency.
Yeah, dude. Shout out, Davey. I already know how this conversation went.
We got to have Davey on the podcast, Corrupt, for sure.
So we had Davey go up. And I don't even know what he told him, actually, to be honest. I had to ask Davey. But he was apparently really cool about it. And then Fuse started playing because, I mean, at the time, we were losing a lot of customers that didn't know what was going on. And that was the whole, like, this is where Fuse is amazing at this, where we cooperate together on this DJ battle. And Fuse knows how to keep the crowd there, how to keep them partying, and like you said, keep her level 10. So Qbert was just up there doing scratch sessions. The DJs loved it, but nobody was really drinking. Nobody was really dancing.
And at the time, that's when the bar, was on Fountain Square. So we were getting like a lot of people in there that like knew we were doing something, and then like something was going on, but didn't quite like understand. They were like,
right.
Oh, this is cool. But then, after like 15 minutes, they were like, ugh. So it's that's an example of it's hard. That's about like a hard balance, And
he's not the world class DJ the world class turntablist that I saw tank. By the way, he's one of the guys that just it's management or ownership had to make a decision. And it was like they weren't happy, and in these situations, Corrupt, you deal with this where ownership steps in, like you're done. I mean, that's everywhere in the Vegas circuit, and
like we were very specific when booking that. We were like, look, like the battle is not like a turntablist battle. It is a DJ battle. We do want you to like showcase, but like we want more of a like a showcase set for maybe like the first 10 or 15 minutes, and then like to go into a more of a club set. And that kind of like didn't ever really happen either. And like, so that's kind of just how it happened, you know? And
honestly, like,
Go ahead.
working under Peerless when I started with them, like 6 or 7 years ago, it was like a blessing in disguise because they literally told me, like, we're gonna make you a better DJ. Like, it's just gonna naturally happen. And I was getting to know Serge and Davey, and it's true. Like, learning to program the room, upping my library. When I came to Peerless, I had already had I thought my career was already at its peak coming from CGS Group and Sugar Bar, and like I was like pretty confident in what I was doing until I saw like Surge play and like realized like, okay, like I was in college, now I'm in the pros, and now I got to figure this shit out. So like the whole, like they know how the room's supposed to be run at their bars and how to generate sales, and that is a whole nother thing that is really important to learn as an open format DJ. And I think it can't be understated, is like you can be a good technical DJ and you can like have the biggest library in the world, but if you don't know how to like save a room, listen to your owners, and like please them a little bit, you're in for a uphill battle.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
and I
You got to be able to make money. Got to be able to make the money for whoever you're performing for. What? Go ahead, Dave.
I think too that was a learning experience for us that with that too, because since then, you know, we've been very like selective on like who we want to bring in, like for like the nights where we do have like a headliner, and like Richie and I now like are very like, it's got to be somebody that we know is like kind of like crushing it in the open format realm, but like still like but still like can like technically
Teachable.
hold it down too. Like
Chris Villa murdered.
Yep.
yeah, Chris, that was great. That was a great pick. We had Spider, and that was great, and then that just worked out to where he was on tour with Blink, and he came in and did like a whole like all kinds of like rock and routines, and like
We almost got the we were poking around the idea of a Dex and drummer set with Spider
and Travis. Yeah.
Oh man, that would have been insane, but I think they were asking for like some ridiculous. I think like $15,000 for maybe a set or some shit. I'm not sure what they were asking for, but
yeah.
Shout out to Tin Roof, man. They have wholeheartedly supported us in these battles as well. They've helped out a lot with financially helping us with the battles and everything like that. So
yeah, I mean, too, like not to like pat ourselves on the back, but like what we gave $3,000 away the last year. Like the Red Bull 3 style's not even giving that away. So
yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, I want to make a point real quick. Combat and Fuse, how long you guys been doing the battles? Like where you've been hosting them?
Together like 5 years now.
And then how much total prize money have you think you've given away?
Oh shit.
Probably close to $20,000, because the first couple years it was more actually.
Yeah, it was about 30 or 40.
Yeah, so just to give, like, for people who are thinking like, oh, these are battle, like these are not your average battle. These are well run. They may not have the clout that the Red Bull has, but I mean, I fully support these guys for doing the battles. And I want to know, do you you don't get 5 years and give away $25,000 without, thinking about the sales and making sure that everyone who has a hand in it is like taken care of. So shout outs to you guys. But I want to know, do you guys have any tips as hosts for DJs joining a battle? Like for me, I would say that go up there and have your goal to be to play clean. Because if you go up there and have a goal to play clean, then you could win, because if you play a clean set, then you literally did what you could do to win. But you're not necessarily worried about winning, because maybe you guys will talk about it. Judging a DJ battle is different. You guys aren't the judges, and I think that's smart. And maybe you guys can talk about who you would pick as judges. But Judges are finicky, so judges are sometimes paying attention, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're music people, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they just don't like the music you played, no fault of your own. So go in there with the goal to play clean, and then you'll less likely to be disappointed and end up like a crybaby, like Kombat said that he's dealt with, that he's been. And I've been a crybaby too in my early battling years. I think everyone kind of goes to that. You're putting your heart into something. So do you guys have any other tips for DJs who want to battle and get into competition?
My tip would be that, so what Richie and I, when we do these battles, you're only on stage for 8 minutes, and people are like, only 8 minutes. But the thing is, 8 minutes of pure stage time, everybody's attention on you, is a long time. And like, you know, you have some guys that go up there that don't know any better and they play maybe 4 songs, 5 songs, you know, and it's like, dude, you can't do that. Like, that's not going to cut it. Like, you got to, like, you know, like if you play 30 seconds, like that even can seem long if you're, you know, like there's a way to navigate around it. And I don't want to sit here and be like, do this, but like you gotta think of, like, if I've got everybody's focus, you know, you know, playing a song that normal 1 minute and 30-second edit that you would play in the club is completely irrelevant in an 8-minute set in a DJ battle.
To be honest, my advice would be, obviously, always practice. But DJ battles to me are no longer turning into a set that you should prepare, because you could walk into a room with one set and scramble last second to change it because it's not with the room vibe that you're feeling, or you know that room vibe is not going to work. A good DJ should be able to make things work on the spot, like plain and simple. You should be able to walk into a room, read the crowd for about 15 minutes, and then open your laptop and be like, I know which direction I'm going, and murder it. Sometimes those sets are better than pre-planned sets.
Yeah, and like, so like we've had guys that have come up to us and been like, you know, I made 3 or 4 different kind of sets within my set tonight that I can go like different directions and stuff. And I think that those are the guys that have gone a little further.
Okay. So you could still prepare, but you need to be able to audible.
Yes, audible,
Yes.
perfect. Yeah, yes.
Cool.
I mean, just be able to switch it up last second. I mean, I think that's what makes open format DJs good, is the fact that they could take it any direction. It's not like we're playing a pre-recorded set or anything like that. It's like we're really taking this room in a direction.
Oh, cool.
Kombat, we lost your video because I wanna ask you about, you mentioned the DJ plus drummer and other instruments. I know you've done that. Maybe you've done a little bit of that too. But what got you into these performances, and then how do you prepare for when you're doing this?
I'm actually doing a show with a full band. Fuse used to do this too. He used to have a band. He used to be a part of a band when he DJed.
Oh yeah, you could search hard for that video too.
But as far as preparing for that, man, head nods and eye contact with the people you're playing with go a very long way. That goes for 4x2 sets, anything like that. People who are musically inclined, you can tell when you're playing with them, and it makes it a lot easier. Drummers, man, we just kind of do it on the fly so many times. Decks and drummer set can get really old really quick. So what we do when I do it at Tin Roof, it's like they'll come up for 30 minutes and then they go off, and then I do a set, because it can get overbearing. But as far as that, man, download mass acapellas, download mass instrumentals, and practice your scratching a lot with drummers, because it can get really interesting or it can get really bad.
Do you work with any other instrumentalists?
Yeah. I work with a guy, his last name's Keys, I forget his name. He's a drummer. He's really good. We've done a couple shows together. I'm doing a show with Matt Waters' band next week at Tin Roof. We really haven't gone over practicing anything. He's going to send me songs with like keys, original songs that I'm going to kind of go with. But as far as that kind of stuff goes, I kind of wing it. And that's where less is more. Situations like that where I'm like, the spotlight's on the band, I'll just kind of do a little scratch here or there, and that's it. You don't want to overdo it. Take away from the song.
Know your role. And
know your role. For
Sorry,
real, like, know your role.
I got Fuse on the podcast. I'm allowed to do wrestling references, right?
Any wrestling is good.
Yeah, Dave, any tips for working with instrumentalists or
I've only done it a handful of times, but yeah, I think that like just what Richie said is true. Like anybody that's slightly musical, you can kind of communicate with, just looking at them, or, like you said, like head nods. You can kind of feel that stuff out. So I think he mentioned, and be aware of the sound. That's always the other
that's a great
thing.
one. Yeah.
Like, what you guys are up there hearing could sound completely different through the speakers at the venue.
And running an auxiliary mixer. So maybe you run your DJ board to a mixer, and then the instrumentalist, maybe you got the drummer mic'd up 4 times, maybe it's just one mic, having that go through the same mixer, and then having a separate set of headphones, or, using your DJ headphones into that mixer to monitor is going to do a lot, and getting out in front of the main speakers to see how you sound. So let a song go, let your instrumentalist, drummer, whatever it is, run and walk around everywhere to see how it sounds. Because if you could be doing the best work, and if the drums are too loud, or the snares hitting too hard, no one's going to enjoy what you're doing. So I think that's a good point, Fuse.
Agreed.
But I want to stick with you, Fuse. You've been a remixer and editor for DMS. I think every DJ who is on DMS has some of your stuff. You kind of not only do you do the main stuff, but I think you're known as like the rock guy, and some of the oldie stuff is kind of like your bag. How'd you get involved with DMS? And then have you wanted to, like, do you use any other record pools?
Yeah, I got involved. I was mentioning earlier on in the show that I met Kevin, and I was just starting to like to me, I was like, oh man, these guys that are like making edits. Like I noticed when Kevin was coming in, like he was like playing his own stuff, and I was like, oh, like there's got to be something to that, like he's not just doing that just cause, and then, so I started just making basic intro outro edits of like more obscure stuff. So I knew it would go up on the site. Simo and I together, we would sit there and be like, let's make an edit of this. It's not on that site. And like, because of Kevin, I kind of had like the in to like get it up there. Because now that I work for them, we get like, tons and tons of submissions, and it's hard to even like go through and listen to them all. Sometimes I do a lot of that now, and I try my very best to like listen to everything, and sometimes like I can't get to everything, like it's just I can't. But yeah, I started out doing like a lot of the rock stuff for them. That's kind of what I started out doing, and now I kind of like I do stuff like if they need me to do stuff, I'll try to do like more newer stuff now, like just bootlegs and stuff like that. But even so, like I'm making edits, like I'm just not throwing my name on there a lot of times, just because like for a while early on, like people would be like, oh, that's all he plays, right? Like, and I'm like, no. Like, tell me you're playing Elton John Tiny Dancer like at midnight in the club. Like that's not going on.
And then how's your originals been going? Because I think we talked maybe last year, 2 years ago, and you had really kind of dove into producing your own stuff.
Yeah, so I just haven't been like doing it so much. I produced that stuff with another guy, Tommy, and he's got a 9-to-5 and a wife and a baby and a second one on the way, and we were kind of picking up each other's slack when it comes to that kind of stuff. And he just got busy. And then I just like, sometimes for me, like I got to be like into it to be doing stuff, even with just like edits and bootlegs. If I'm not like feeling creative, like I have a hard time like pulling from that part of me. So I haven't done a lot in the last, year as far as original stuff, but like that's like a whole nother ball game too, like working on original music. And I'm sure Krupp knows he's got a lot too. Like it's just it's a whole nother realm, I know, a whole nother world, and in itself, original music, and
that shit is hard.
It's hard. Rob asks, how would someone submit an edit?
So there is I believe on the bottom of the site, or like hold on, I'm looking at the site right now. if you go to there on the very bottom of the site in the left-hand corner, there's like stuff at the bottom. It says my account, music, blog, help. There's a submit and edit button, and you could submit to that. Or you could just send stuff directly to me, fuse@directmusicservice.com. And
look at that. Direct.
Yeah.
Direct.
Oh, only on the Columbus DJ Podcast.
Exactly.
That's right.
Make sure you mention us. No, real quick, Fuse. I've always been curious. When you guys are doing the editing, and maybe it's a mix of both, are you recreating the song, like the meat of the song? Obviously, you don't have the acapella and stuff. Are you just recreating that for the intros, or are you borrowing, like, going in and finding like the lone snare, and then you can move that over? Is it a mix of both?
Yeah, it's both. Like a lot of the guys, like Scooter and Diggs, like are really good at like like filtering down stuff so where you don't even like notice it. And well, now there's like a lot of apps like C-Flow. I don't know if you guys have heard it. C-Flow Mverter, yeah. So that's pretty cool. And it works pretty well. Like especially like if you're just making some personal edits, like that is awesome because you're going to get what you need. Like stuff for the site we're a little more picky with, especially if it's like a song that we know is going to be like a big song or whatever. Like, and a lot of times like we'll make stuff that'll go up like the first day, and then a day or two later, like another one of the guys will make a better version and we just replace the file. Like
I have a question. Who would win, Club Killers or DMS in a fight?
Uh-oh.
Well, I don't know,
Top 5
man.
remixers.
Alex Streams or Kevin Scott?
Wouldn't it be like DMS versus DJ City though?
Damn.
Because you can't take boxing and versus UFC. Like I feel like Club Killers is like a different style of edits.
I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I haven't been on Club Killer's website in a long time. Like I use other pools.
It's a different vibe. Yeah.
I use other pools and like stuff that is on Club Killers. Like I just don't particularly like a lot of the taste in there. Like the stuff that's on there. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but for me, like I like a little more like melodic, even like when I play housey music or like stuff that's like a bootleg, I just like a little more not so heavy, hard stuff.
I still use Club Killers, but I mean Club Killers has been known to like that Fleetwood Mac song is making a comeback right now because of that Mexican on the skateboard. But Club Killers would put out that song and then just have the heaviest trap drop ever, like after. It's like, come on,
they
man.
are really organized and they're all good people.
Their organization on that site was always great. DMS is a little different. We consider ourselves like a boutique record pool in a sense of like we have a little bit of everything. And I think that what's cool about DMS from a lot of the other sites is if you are a member of DMS and you've been using it for a while, like if you go on there day to day, or even if you went on once a week, well, like all the music that just goes up is right there. So like you just scroll down into the last part, you were at. And, we have the advanced search feature now, which is pretty cool too, where you can go in there and search by decade and search by genre. There's other record. I would never even say to a DJ, like, only have one record pool. Like any good DJ needs to be using multiple pools all the time. And there are great editors on other sites, as well. Like,
music takes all my money.
Yeah. I mean, like, and what's crazy to me is like, there are dudes and other DJs and, I shouldn't say dudes because they're female DJs too, but there are DJs that like complain about using record pools, and I'm like, and paying, like, I'm like, dude, like we are playing music. Like that's the most important part. Like
if there's anything you're going to write off.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's amazing to me that like still, and like, I don't know, like I am more fortunate now because like I just feel like if there's anything that I want or like I think it should be a little different, I just go and make it, you know, like, so I'm pretty selective, like with the pools that I use now. I use DMS, and like that's where I source like most of like just like if I need a hip hop song or like an intro outro of like Rihanna work, I'll go on DMS and download it. And like we have some great exclusive editors too that I'll use their stuff, but like HMC has great exclusive content too, and you know, I use their site a lot too. And then, you know, what's tough is like making edits that everybody and their brother uses like DMS. So it's like when I go play shows or like whatever, like people are playing like that same stuff. So I feel like I have to be like extra, like try extra hard to like make personal stuff and not give it out too. But then people are like, let me get that.
And you're a nice enough guy that you're like, okay.
You're too nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the editors on DMS are pretty much exclusive to DMS.
Yeah. So like let's say like I made like an original track, or like they would never be like, oh, you can't put that on, you know,
right,
whatever. They're like completely cool with that stuff. So our exclusive editors right now are Danny Diggs, Scooter, Phrase is out of Seattle. He's a little younger and newer, but he's got some great stuff out. Simo, who's in Cincinnati, and Simo does a lot of like refreshing the old edits, making sure they're all like high quality and stuff right now, and a lot of indie edits. That's what Simo's been doing.
I was just about to say that.
Drew Pierce and Donk, even though both of them haven't been doing like as many edits lately, they're still like very crucial people like that the site functions with. And then the site's owned by Kevin and Warren. And again, Kevin and Warren aren't making as many edits these days, but there's, you know, a ton of stuff that goes on with the site. And Warren is like the day-to-day guy. And all I can say is working for Kevin and Warren is like awesome. I couldn't ask for a better, like, they're just great to work for. And then we have Audio One out of the Bay Area who does a lot of different edits. I feel like I'm missing somebody, and I shouldn't.
Sprite's on there, right?
What?
Sprite's on there?
Sprite? No, Sprite does. He was for a while. Sprite wanted to switch things up and try a different outlet, and he does stuff with DJ City right now. So,
I wanna hop over to some. Did you say there was another one, Dave?
Oh, Jason Janai, and if you're not familiar, if you're in the mobile DJ world and you're not familiar
Jason
with, yeah, that dude is crushing it. So,
you mentioned War and Peace. I always had respect for War and Peace for being a part of DMS and for some of his edits, but he did a podcast episode, and I think it was on the Road podcast, but it could have been another one. And it's awesome. It's like a really good Las Vegas, nerdy, like laptop, like Mac versus PC, how he got started with the record pools, like early days of record pools. It's an awesome episode. So if Google War and Peace and podcast, and if you really want like a good DJ history lesson, I really, really like that episode and have a lot more respect for him after that. Would you say the same, Fuse?
Oh man, Warren is, I mean, there are like people that you meet that you're like, man, like you meet him the first time and you're like, I just like this guy. And Warren's one of those people. And every time that I'm out in Vegas and with Warren or talk to Warren, I feel like I learned something new. And like, he's just got a great attitude. And like, he's got so many Vegas stories, like his Tupac story. I think he told that on the podcast.
He did.
Dude, that story is crazy and amazing at the same time. And, like when I first went to Vegas, they do like a get together like once a year for all of us guys. And I want to say it was like 2010 or 2011 when Simo and I were just making like edits. They were like, you should come out to it. Like Kevin was like, you should come out. So we went out to Vegas, and that was my first time. And I was like 21 or 22 maybe. And it was like just as like the EDM like boom was starting to like become a thing. And like, so maybe it was like 2011, like right in there. And Alesso was playing at AXCESS, and
nice.
Warren was opening. and he called us and he was like, yo, you guys here? Like, you want to come to see Alesso tonight? And we were like, you know, like, cool. Yeah. And he was like, all right, like, I'll come get you guys. Like, let me know when you're here. And he literally came outside of AXCESS and like got us and then had to walk back in and was like DJing.
Damn.
So that's like the kind of person that he is.
I want to move over, and we're not going to get into as many questions that I like just because we're having such a good conversation so far. But Corrupt and I have been kind of talking in pieces the last few weeks about market rate and when you should start charging market rate. And I think you guys would be a good, you know, if you're in a different market, you guys both been in the game for a while, played, you know, primarily club DJs. You know, I think for a lot of DJs, when you start doing clubs, maybe you don't charge as much, but you know, everyone has heard about undercutting, right? You don't want to go into a place that has an established DJ and charge a lower rate because now you've brought the market rate down and you've done a disservice to your area. But when you're first starting out, you may not charge as much as the headliner DJ because you're not that good, right? You haven't done anything to earn that type of money. So at what point in your career do you think do you like really earn the market rate? Like, is it after 6 months? Is it after a year? Is it after you switch clubs for the first time? And I want to start with maybe, let's do James first, and then I'll hop over to Kombat and Fuse.
Well, the whole DJing for free thing, in the beginning, to maybe show what you can do, as long as you're not burning a DJ, taking some work away from somebody that you respect or you're trying to network with, and you know it's organized that way. I don't think there's anything wrong with playing some shows for free, get your name out there, but let that be short-lived, and you got to be a little bit, you got to hold your ground and know how to work out a deal to get some sort of compensation, and definitely don't ask for something too low too long, because then you are hurting the standard in the location that you're at. This happens so much, but usually that also means you're getting low quality. If the guy's coming in and playing for $100 or less, you're getting what you pay for, and a lot of us experienced DJs say that. But I would say, you know, after you just get a little bit of being comfortable and the nerves go down and you feel like you're controlling the room, I think as long as you're not going to be the only one that agrees with that's in the room, I think you have a little bit of leverage there to discuss it. And then as far as like a promotion or a raise, you gotta build something. So when you do have that meeting, you can be like, all right, like I'm starting to see more people, more of my friends are coming out. I see the bar sales are going up. You can try to keep track of bar sales. You can just be like, look, you know, it seems like nobody ever says anything bad about my sets. I was hoping that we can get to this because, you know, like this is ideally what I would be like to make as a DJ. There's different ways to go about it, but for sure, being aware of what other DJs around you are making and making sure you're not booting people out or trying to boot people out, that you do not want that kind of bad blood in this industry. So that's pretty much, I answered your question a little bit and kind of went off on the whole free DJing thing, but I'm sure they'll have their own perspectives.
Let me ask this first. Maybe I'll start with this. Do we want to maybe talk about what the going rate, like what market rate in Columbus is, and then what market rate in Cincinnati is, or do we just want to avoid that altogether because that can get crazy?
Well, like with COVID, it's even crazier.
We're not talking COVID. Yeah. We're talking peak 2019, summer 2019. Do you want to talk about what was the market rate for 4 hours at a club? Do you even want to like bring those numbers up, or just if from Columbus, you know?
I don't think it's relevant because I feel like every dude is going to be different. Like, and like to go on that, like, I think the key term for all of this is like value. Like, what is your value, and what like value is whatever you're DJing getting out of you? Like, even if you're just starting out and like you're DJing fraternity parties in college, like if you're DJing a nerdy fraternity and like you're making it cool, and like you play a couple parties there for free, and then they're like, we need you to come back. We need you to come back. Obviously they value you. So maybe it's time that you can ask them for something too. Like, and whether that's a case of Natty Light or, you know, $50, like it is just what it is. Like, and I think that, you know, kind of like what Corrupt was saying, like when you are in the club and you notice like, you know, bar sales are increasing. Let's say they ask you to play a Tuesday night and, you know, they're like, we'll give you $100 to play a dead Tuesday night. And then, you know, your Tuesday nights that's now, you know, halfway full. And, you know, it's getting better. Maybe it's time to ask for some more money. Like, you know, clearly something you're doing is working, you know, and I think you can take that, onto even busy nights as well. Like if I'm playing a Saturday night at a spot and like somebody is doing like coming in on a Saturday, I'm not there, and they're like, it's getting better, then like clearly I need to step my game up. So like I haven't really been like ever worried about like somebody like taking my spot, like as far as like that kind of thing. And that's not even like an arrogance thing. Like that's just like I feel like I'm always trying to better, like be better and do better and like doing the things that I need. But like I think that like if you're adding value over somebody else, like as long as you're not undercutting what they're made, like I would rather somebody come to me and be like, look, like the spot you play at is like asking me to come play there, and like I just want to know like what you're like they're asking me to take your spot or like whatever, like what is it, like obviously at that point it's probably out of my control, so like I'm not going to be mad at that DJ, but I could see where other DJs would be mad at them. But
I really like the one takeaway is kind of an actionable item. If someone calls you to DJ, where you're not going to them and saying, hey, let me DJ, I like that. That's maybe when you should make the switch to like charging market rate, or at least, you know, charging something. I really like
and I
that.
think there's certain places even like here that like the market rate for like that spot might be lower than like other spots in town, you know, like if you're, you know, like Richie's venue, Amigos is a smaller venue. He's not going to be paying what like places on the banks are going to be like willing to play that can hold, you know, 4 times as many people, you know?
I was just going to touch on that because there's a certain ceiling that your bar can reach or your establishment can reach. Like Amigos, I know what it's capable of on a really busy day all day. And I kind of know the ceiling that I'm sitting at. And then as opposed to like, if I pay for entertainment, it's sometimes, man, it's slow nights and everything like that, the entertainment will get more money. And it sucks for me as a DJ because I do make great money as a DJ. And I'm like, I want to hold it to a standard, but then I also have my ownership side where I'm running a bar and I'm kind of like, man, you know, this is all I can offer, but I'm up front with everybody. It's tough. It all just depends on where the ceiling cap is. Like Fuse was saying, places, the banks, man, there's places, the banks that make so much money and they're paying their DJs just a little bit more, a little bit less. Their entertainment, you know, it's that number fluctuates a lot.
And like,
go ahead.
That value, like Fuse was saying, is important. You know, build a relationship with the places you work at and be loyal to them. You know, a lot of them will be loyal to you. Just keep that relationship in good standing.
True.
Yeah, and I'm like sure that there's even things that like maybe even like Corrupt, like you and I could play the same spot. Like I could come to Dahlia and maybe I don't make the Corrupt rate because you're the resident. Like you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing too. Like sometimes there's just, you know, different circumstances with, you know, things or like different budgets or like not only that, like some people have established themselves not only like DJ wise, but like social media and like marketability and like, you know,
that's
like
important. You know, you could have the best DJ in the world, but if he doesn't have a following, doesn't bring business in, you know, Cool, man. Send me your podcast. I'll listen to that, but I'm going to book a DJ who brings in 50 people.
Yeah, agreed. And we've seen that, you know, time and time again. Kombat, I wanted to ask you as an owner and someone who's booking DJs a little bit, what let's say I've been working at Amigos a couple times for let's call it $150 for 4 hours on a Wednesday night, right? $150 is what you're paying me. I've been doing that for a year. What was as an owner, what do you want to hear from a DJ who might ask you for a raise?
Well, I mean, I got to look at the sales, kind of put it on a graph and see if the sales are going up, what your overhead is. You know, obviously, if I'm working behind the bar, it cuts overhead costs on me paying for a bartender, et cetera, et cetera. If the numbers are right and they ask for money and I value them and I don't want to lose them, then yeah, I see nothing wrong with paying them more. As long as I see that they're, one, working, two, not getting hammered every single night. These are all things that when I was a DJ, I used to walk in and be like, I'm going to get my money. And now look at it as an owner, I'm like, man, there's a lot of different responsibilities. And there's a lot of things that I notice as DJs, like kind of does annoy me. You know, when DJs just show up and get completely blacked out and don't do their job. I've seen it happen multiple times. I've done it multiple times. I definitely take responsibility for that. But I don't think there's ever been a time where I've been like so drunk that I can't DJ. Maybe once or twice, but it was like an all-day thing.
Yeah, I've been there once or twice.
But, you know, just as long as the sales are good, man, I'm stuck in a really weird venue in a really weird position to kind of get a good measurement on how to like book entertainment at my spot. My spot has gone more towards acoustic live music, which I think is better. You know, I wanted to push DJs because I am a DJ. And then as time went on, I was like, this is not a DJ venue. And that was a big pill for me to swallow. And I'm okay with that because I was like, okay, I'd rather just have an acoustic, pay them the same rate. And it's more of a dinner venue. So like people aren't going to Amigos to dance and party unless it's Latin night, which that's a niche that we had before COVID. You know, that's a whole different animal.
You're going to have Amigos Dos.
But I will say, like, us as DJs, like, as an entirety, like, it's one thing to be playing in COVID times right now, like, for, like, half your rate, especially when the bars, like, can barely even have half your people in there. Mm-hmm. But, like, when times get normal and things open up, every single DJ needs to be like, come with.
I agree with
Let's
that.
Go.
What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, you know, big versus small venues is a big thing, but we like with Ohio State bars, and drinks are different prices and all that, like dollar bombs and all that. Like they're not making anything. So like if you're doing a campus bar too, you need to consider like the crowd that you're playing for. And you know, if you're 2 or 3 sets or nights into a bar there, and you're trying to get paid, you might want to ask what the DJs are making there before you throw on like your downtown rate onto a campus bar or something like that.
Sure. One thing that's worked for me is, and we talked about value earlier, right? So if I think, hey, maybe it's time for a raise. I've been in this spot for 6 months to a year. You know, I've seen the crowd. I have kind of notoriety here. What I've done is you talk to the bar owner and maybe you say, hey, what was our sales, you know, when I started, and what are our sales now? And maybe it's a slow, like a weekday night, and they started off and they were doing 2,500. I'm just using random numbers, and now they're doing 5,000 a night. And you can say, hey, I've kind of grown the business a little bit. I think it might be time for a raise. And they say, no, you're not ready yet, or we can't afford it. Now you have a chance to say, okay, well, we're at 5,000 now. If we get to 7,500 on any night, can I get a $100 bonus, a $200 bonus? Because to an owner, and Richie, you can speak to this at all, you think, man, if I'm making an extra 2,500, I don't mind, you know, shelling out an extra 100 and 200 bucks. It seems like a pretty good deal, and I'm not losing any money if we don't hit that mark. So you have to come about it the right way. Make sure you're handling all your business. Make sure you're not getting, you know, blacked out while you're DJ. Make sure you're showing up on time. Make sure you're doing all the things that a DJ should be doing, helping out. Make sure you're getting to know the guests and all that. But that's something that's worked for me. And Richie, would that work for something like for you at Amigos? I mean, I know again it's a smaller place, but principle wise.
Like I said, it's a little harder for me because I have a ceiling cap of, I know about how much money a good busy night will make. As the nights get busier, so do expenses, so do costs, so does labor, so does everything that else is involved with it. It all goes up. So with some place like that's smaller than Amigos is I know I'm going to reach a certain ceiling and that's it. Now, if it was a big nightclub, you're like, all right, dude, you could make $40,000 this night. You can make 50,000. It's like, that's just not possible at Amigos. So
yeah. I'm saying in principle though, would that be like something you'd be interested in?
Oh yeah, 100%. As an owner, I would 100% take care of the DJs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I guess the takeaway is you're always trying to find ways to add value. That's a way you can show the owner, and you guys have a numeric amount to where you're saying, hey, here's the value that I've added. Obviously there's other things go into it, but here's the value that I've added. I don't deserve, but maybe we could talk about a bonus structure.
Yeah, the money's good. Sometimes a simple thank you from the business owner. Like I know, randomly the business owner will walk up and be like, you're killing it right now. Sometimes that is like gratifying. Like that's like, damn, all right, that feels good. Like a simple thank you goes a long way.
And I know Corrupt feels that way when it comes to Petey for sure.
Oh my gosh.
When's the last time Petey said thank you to you, James?
He has like a different way of saying thank you without saying thank you. So
just look over from the corner of the bar and give you the thumbs up.
Yeah, if I see him going like this, it's fine. We're good.
Petey's walked up to me like, buddy, you're costing me $10,000 right now. Like, all right, here we go.
There's no song that will save that. So,
yo, James, take us into show and tell, please.
Yeah, guys, we're just something DJ related, non-DJ related around you that's significant that you can explain. We've had some pretty interesting ones. So yeah, they're okay. Combat, let's go.
My bad. No, not that.
Okay.
I don't know. I think I might have the last pair of these, and they were given to me by my brother.
Okay. Ooh. What do we got here? Coffee? What is this?
A record.
Gold.
Ooh. Performance 2 or Performance 1? Looks like Performance 2.
I'll see. They're hard to find.
Very nice. Dude, I used to try to get all the colors going and then the logos in the middle. Did you guys do the vinyl stickers?
Oh yeah. I still do because I feel like it's always cool when you have pictures and then it's like right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
Fuse, what you got for show and tell?
For me, like what's something that's important to me, I guess I'm looking at your notes to bring something important. Like I just value like keeping like good people around, or like not only that, like being inspired. And sometimes I feel like even in Cincinnati, it's hard for me. Like I like people that make me want to be better DJ, better, like all around. So like I value like things like this, like where I get to talk to you guys and like, even though you guys are in a different market, like you guys, I think that you two are the ones that are definitely crushing it up in Columbus. And I think that's great. Like I like being able to chat, and I think that's something that's important to me.
Are we your show and tell?
Yeah, you guys.
Damn, I can't top that.
He wins. Last episode, I retire.
Not what we were expecting, but we'll take it. Tastemakers, guys, we want to know what you've been listening to. We did the first few episodes of this podcast and never really talked about music, so this is our chance to kind of talk about, any cool stuff or any music you want to talk about.
I've been listening. I mean, I love country music. I always listen to country music. I don't know. I've been listening to a lot of trap lately. Like, I'm a big. I really want to see Boombox Cartel live, like stuff like that. Like, I listen to anything, man. Honestly, actually, when I work out, I'm listening to audiobooks.
That's dope. Fuse?
Oh man, I'm weird when it comes to this because like with doing the stuff for DMS and like listening to music all the time, like I don't listen to anything that I have to DJ. Like if it sounds like something I got to DJ, I don't want to listen to it when I'm in my personal time. Like don't get me wrong, like if we're like, let's go to a show, like I'd be like, oh, I don't like their stuff, or like so I wouldn't go to some like producer shows over others, but like like when it comes to like listening to music in my personal time, like I listen to like Foy Vance, if you know who that is, or like he's like an Irish dude that's like he basically co-wrote all the big Ed Sheeran hits, but like he's his own artist too.
Gotcha.
I listen to like anything chill, or like I don't know, like if I'm like out with friends and it's like party vibe, that's like a different story. But like just like cruising down the car, like I don't listen to any, like you're not gonna hear me listening to like Bass Nectar or like even like Calvin Harris. Like nah.
Wow.
He was cancel culture.
What's that?
Bass Nectar got canceled.
Oh,
Yes,
well, my bad.
How dare you say Bass Nectar on this podcast? Now I got to bleep it out.
But yeah,
Corrupt,
so I'm
what you
weird
been
when it comes to that stuff.
Oh, sorry, Dave.
No, it's all good.
No, I wanted to say something back to that because Fuse, I know a lot of DJs and just club promoters and people that are in the club in general that say the same thing. They like to, when they're in their cars and stuff like that, a lot of them like chill music and like just, unpopular artists. So I've heard that before, but what's funny is Combat said trap. I hadn't been staying on my trap music, and I've always liked trap. I mean, I used to make it. And I went to the Subtronics drive-in show last week, and it was like completely outside something that I would normally do. I was with good friends that were in town, and it was so much fun. And they were putting me on all this new music and like artists that I used to follow. And I've been listening to a lot of trap as well, and a lot of like live stream or like just YouTube sets. And I've been like Dion Timmer put this song out called Violet. That's like such a nasty beat that I'm going to try to throw in this Friday for the Styles Incomplete set. So that, and then I don't know what else. It's pretty much, last week was all house, I think I said. I do like the new Meg Thee Stallion Don't Stop song.
That's the one that I wanted to talk about.
That's a good beat.
But to go back about with the trap stuff, I mean, I feel like it's not as popular anymore, so I don't feel like you don't have to source it as much.
Right.
And anytime I find something I like, I feel like it's RL Grime, Party Favor, or, oh man, I'm going to forget the last person. Boombox Cartel, like you said, Combat. And I feel like it's one of those three and maybe like a fourth artist. Otherwise, like it's not really that good right now.
Dude, it's funny because like the older you get, the less interested you get into that underground trap and dubstep. But it's like a little bit refreshing because you haven't heard it, because I haven't been listening to it. And the Subtronics sets, but the openers were not good. Hopefully nobody takes hate to that. I don't know who they were. But the Subtronics set was like a very vibey, like a lot of hip hop mashups and stuff like that. I was like, okay, this is cool. Like I haven't heard anything like this in the clubs in a long time. So,
and then Don't Stop by Meg Thee Stallion. All the dubstep producers were like, oh, who gave Meg Thee Stallion her samples? And I just think Meg Thee Stallion sounds good over everything. I'd give her.
I mean, you know who the best producers are, in my opinion? Disney. I mean, they do like orchestras and they take it to a whole other level, but
true.
If you ever listen to a Disney song, you're like, it's insane how much is going on in that song.
And it's catchy, and they still make it
every
catchy.
song. Yeah.
Disney made like a WAP version. So that's interesting.
Oh God!
Dude, I could never hear that song again and be cool with it.
Like, what? So are you kidding me? I'm so sad that I can't see it in the clubs all the time, man.
I'm over it. Like,
what?
When people ask me for WAP now, I play the WAP by J-Dash.
Damn. Oh yeah, because you guys are in Cincinnati and everyone knows
that.
No,
you did.
Dude, that's amazing.
I played. I think it's a song that you were. Oh wait, no, that's the one with the dance to everybody. Wop, wop, wop. That one.
Yeah.
What's like the Cincinnati theme song? This is
Don't know how to dance.
No.
Fuse, you're the only one who's got that, Fuse.
Dude, of course. That's my gem. I can't not.
Hold on.
Me and Saab made a song a long time ago.
Uh-oh.
Saab made the beat, I made the lyrics, and I sang on the song.
Let's hear this.
It's ridiculous.
I'm so mad at myself right now. there's a song that like, oh, you guys in Cincinnati love it, and I saw it. I was like, oh my god, this song's a hit. How come I play this? And I played in Columbus like 3 times. I'm like, oh, it doesn't work. And I cannot remember the name of the song. So, but we're running out of time, so I just got to move on, guys. You're 2 of my most favorite DJs that I've ever seen play, heard. You guys do battles, you guys do the club stuff, remixes, edits, all that. Like fire mixes, Combat. I wanted to talk to you about the last mix that you put out, but didn't get a chance to. What are your tips for listeners, and hopefully something that they have not heard before? And I'll start with Fuse this time.
Oh,
Tips for DJs, essentially.
Yes.
Okay. I think something that other DJs should, like the tip is that I would give is like go out and see like every DJ and like be cool with them, but like not in the way of like I'm only here because I want something from you. Like actually try to maybe be my friend first before wanting my gig, because you might actually learn a thing or two from me if I'm your friend. Like, and I'll probably give you gigs at that point then too. Like there's so many people, and I'm sure you guys experience this all the time, everybody here, that like dudes only hit you up when they need something. Like very rarely are like guys like coming to you with like an opportunity or something like, and like for me, it's like you can say, hey, what's up? Like, how's your day going? Like, or how are you doing? Like, I don't know. Like, I think that's like, I felt like for me, like, I like getting to know people as like people first off. And then like, I think because of that, like you learn a lot about DJing, and not only DJing, but just culture in general, and that helps your DJ career go far. Because I mean, if you can understand music and different cultures and different things, and then you start like understanding people in the room and then what they might want to hear, and like it's just a whole growing the pie. You're not taking your slice, everybody's growing the pie bigger, and if you're growing the pie bigger, everybody's getting a bigger slice.
I 100% agree with you, but at the same time, like if I get a text from somebody who I haven't heard from in a while and says, hey, how's it going? I know you're about to ask me something.
Well, sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's, I mean, there's those.
Well, then you say, what do you want? And
exactly.
Not just saying hi.
Yeah. ...
By the way.
like my advice to that would be like I'm speaking for me. Invite me to do something that I like to do.
Yeah.
And then talk business once we've while we're doing that. So that don't just be like, how you doing? I need something.
And like as simple as like you can come to where we're DJing and hang out, but also don't expect me to buy you shots all night either. Like but you can come hang out and kick it. Like, maybe
they buy you a shot. What?
Yeah.
No, maybe.
Everybody knows I'm going to give them a shot.
Then it gets tricky. Then it gets tricky when they buy you shots, because then they hold it over your head.
Yeah.
Yeah. That too. So.
All right, Combat. Tips for DJs. Person. Oh, that's the obvious tip.
Tips for DJs?
Yes, tips for DJs that they've not heard before, because I know you're going to say practice.
Don't scratch if you don't know how. No, I'm kidding. Nah, man. Big tip that Richard Vision gave me a long time ago when he heard me DJ BBR. Keep making people turn heads when you DJ. That's just kind of my style. I think I'll do some crazy off the wall, unorthodox shit. I think stay with the style that you have, that you're good with, and then just progress in it. Would be my advice. Be the best at your style, at least.
Yeah, you do that one thing where you do the double-handed scratch on the same platter. That's like one of my favorite things that you do. I've never seen someone like actually execute it before, like outside of like YouTube videos.
Yeah. No, Metronome from Indianapolis. By the way, dude, you got to get some DJs from Indy on this podcast. They got some dope DJs. You should get Metro on here. He owns Decademics DJ Academy up there.
Okay.
And man, Indianapolis has some really dope DJs. But no, I scratch with him one night. He was complimenting me on that scratch. I don't even know what it is.
Can you send me his contact information after we're done, please?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man, because I'm not – there's probably someone from Columbus watching this like, they haven't had me on the podcast. Well, I think we've hit I think we've hit a lot of the people that like were on my original list, and I'm speaking for me, not Corrupt. On my original list, and at this point, I think it's going to take people supporting the show, and then asking us about being on here. So if you're watching, keep letting us know you're in the chat. Supporting us through Instagram and other things, just being cool with us, asking questions, and then asking us to be on the show is probably going to be we're going forward. And like I said, I'm just speaking for where I'm at. Corrupt, you may feel differently.
I mean, we've went through a huge list of DJs, but like, yeah, there's still Cincinnati, there's still Cleveland, there's still plenty of DJs in Columbus, and then surrounding cities. Like, there's just so much talent that we need to get on here. So, but we'll make it work. Like, if you're interested in coming on here and you're supporting us, we'll make it happen.
Exactly.
Some Milwaukee guys I met too that are super dope when I went up there to play. Put them on the radar too. They do a lot of stuff that. Declan guy, he does a lot of podcast mixes that are kind of with like DJs nationwide. I'll get you the contact information on them, but this is all like awesome networking. You guys do a really good job with it, and appreciate how professional it is, to be honest.
Oh, cool, man.
Thank you guys.
There's a lot coming from you. And then where can people find you both in person and online? Start with KOMBAT.
Online, my website that's super outdated is djcombat.com, but it's got my contact information on there. As far as Instagram, DJ_combat, Twitter, same thing, Facebook, same thing. And then if you guys ever come down to Cincinnati, want to have good tacos, come to Amigos. And then Tin Roof, Sundays and Tuesday nights. I'm still DJing there on the regular, even during this COVID. So grateful for that.
Yeah.
Fuse?
FUSEAMANIA, pretty much at everything, except for I'm not too active on Facebook these days, but
don't blame you.
Yeah, dude, I can't take that. But Instagram and Twitter, I feel like, is actually kind of fun again these days. So I enjoy reading stuff on there. And then, FUSEAMANIA on, pretty much everything, Mixcloud, SoundCloud, whatever, and on FUSEAMANIA.com.
Twitter's like like the comics section of a newspaper, or like just a newspaper you can't take seriously. Even when it's a serious topic. Like, that guy's trying to be serious. It's like,
man, you guys should go look at you guys should go look at some of Saab's things right now. His Facebook's going off.
Oh, bro. Like, I just can't even get on there. Like, I'm like, the fact that people are like so willing to sit there and just like, I'm
comment.
Like, insane. And I'm like, well, who wants to do
Triggered.
that? Triggered. Yeah. I'm like, this is not cool. I don't want to read it. Like, there's, what sucks is when you see people that like you really enjoy. You're like, oh man, I really like you. And then you see them saying stuff, and I'm like, A, why? And then B, I'm like, man, that sucks that you're just being so dumb. Like,
everyone thinks that they're trying to help. Just remember that every time that someone comments or reposts, that they think they're trying to help.
Like, I think what's crazy anymore is like we're in this generation where you like literally you carry a computer around in your hand, and like literally like people think by posting their Facebook status like they're gonna change somebody's mind. I'm like, bro, you're not changing anybody's mind. Like, they're doing what they're doing.
I want to move over to 614 releases. We did not have any releases that I saw. So again, please reach out to myself or Corrupt. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, there's a link where you can actually just put your release, your mix, your remix, all that. If you release an OG song, let us know so we can feature you. What I do want to feature is the shirt I'm wearing again is from Attention Machine Apparel. So again, nice. attentionmachineapparel.com sent us the two shirts, and I originally thought that they were doing screen printing, and they can do that. However, they have like brand apparel for content creators. So you can see like this says the like, follow, subscribe, and they have other apparel items that you can check out. So, they're not in direct competition with 614 since they're not doing Columbus stuff, but wanted to shout them out and say thank you for sending the shirts. The guy who runs it is Cameron Williamson, and he is a DJ himself and a really good dude. So make sure you check out attentionmachineapparel.com.
I do have a Lost in the Sauce release, Mike, that I want to shout out Loom, aka DJ Pyro. Spent a lot of time, did a trap guest mix.
Changed the name. Did not know that.
Yeah, he did. He changed his name. It might be Lume. I got to find out, but I keep saying Loom.
His bougie acid is probably Lume.
So yeah, he made a pretty good trap guest mix on there. So check it out.
Well, dope, guys. We went over again. This seems to be a common theme lately. But we had two fantastic DJs in here. KOMBAT, Fuse, thank you so much for joining us and making the trip up 71 to be on the Columbus DJ podcast. And yeah, man, we're definitely gonna have some more of you guys as friends on here. And yeah, glad to have you.
Yeah, and thanks for having us. I really appreciate it. And if there's anything that I can help with or get somebody, guys, or connect you with that you might want, let me know. Like, I mean, even if it's somebody you're like DMS, I'm sure somebody would be glad to do the podcast.
Can you get me Diplo?
Oh,
Damn.
Thomas Leslie?
Damn.
Yeah, I don't know about
For
that
the stars.
Oh, never mind, man.
KOMBAT's how you're walking the dog.
Nah, see ya.
Guys, this is episode 26 in the books. Thank you so much for being here. Peace. We are out.
Thank you, guys.